Hello everyone, welcome to the last session of last live session for Modern Indian Architecture. It is an NPTEL course. The course instructor for this course is Professor Prabjot Singh Chani and I am Shreya Shukla. I am the course TA for NPTEL for this course. Today we will be doing week 8 assignment 8. This is the last week's assignment, last lecture, last live session and last assignment of the course. We only do previous year assignments. Here we do not do this year's assignment. It is just for the to help people enrolling the course. So we do previous year's assignment here. We will wait in the call for 5-10 minutes and then we will start with the session. We will wait for others to join. We will start the session in 5-10 minutes. We will start with the session now. Others can join in between the session. So again, to introduce myself, hi everyone, I'm Shreya and I am the course TA for NPTEL for the course Modern Indian Architecture. Today we are having our last session. It's week 8 and we will be doing assignment 8 for week 8 today. And this is the last live session. So the course outline for the course was what did the course have? Modern Indian architecture. What did it really mean? It basically meant the Indian architecture in today's time. Modern, in simple terms, means up to date. So this course talked about Indian architecture in today's time, and the course timeline included from pre-independence, a little part from pre-independence, to the point we are here right now in history. Evolution of modern architecture in India from pre-independence to the present time. The evolution will be seen through various modern trends and building typologies. It was seen through various trends and building typologies covering many buildings over a span of nearly a century of many architects who have made a significant contribution in the development of modern Indian architecture. And the course concluded with the study of 21st century Indian architecture, highlighting several emerging concepts, which has been the main highlight of the week 8, where this topic has been covered majorly. So the objective of the course objectives included understanding evolution of modern architecture in India vis-a-vis structure, function and form, individual works of iconic architects to understand their design approach, various forces impacting modern Indian architecture, upcoming concepts vis-a-vis buildings such as energy efficiency, green buildings, seismic safety, software tools, new technologies, material and construction techniques, and then concepts and ideas about various building typologies which students can directly apply in their design studios. So week 8 syllabus for week 8 included 5 parts of the same topic, search for a new architecture, and the lectures in this week covered basically the architecture of right now, examples from the works of Shirish and Sanjay Puri, and the lectures also talked about the need of sustainable building, need of buildings that have to be climate responsive because of the current situation of climate change globally happening, and the rise in temperature and the need, and the then examples from ecological architecture, and then a brief part was covered where it talked about different kinds of modern approaches that have happened in Indian modern architecture, including purist modern approach, postmodernist approach, neo-modernist approach, and also neo-traditional approach, which is very unique to India, critical regionalism. And examples from all these lectures were given, and a little talk about IGBC and green buildings was given, and then examples from Sanjay Puri, a lot of examples from Sanjay Puri's works were given, because he creates climate responsive buildings which are very modern and he also incorporates the Indian traditional elements in a very modern adaptive way. So a lot of examples from Sanjay Puri architects have been given to specifically focus on the fusion of those works, and then one specific lecture talked about all the women architects who have contributed to uh, Indian architecture of 21st century, with examples from Brinda Somaya, Revati Kamath and others. So Chitra Vishwanath, Anupama Kundu, and their works, few of their works were covered. So without any further ado, we will start with the session now. Starting with question number 1. In UN IPCC report, Code Red refers to A. Computer virus, solid waste management protocol, C. Global temperature likely to rise 5 degrees Celsius in next 20 years, and D. Avalanche evacuation drill. So what is UN IPCC? So UN IPCC, IPCC, the full form of IPCC is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It is United Nations body for assessing the science related to climate change. The IPCC provides regular assessments of the scientific basis of climate change, its impacts and future risks, and options for adaptation and mitigation. Created in 1988 by the World Meteorological Organization WMO and United Nations Environment Programme UNEP, the object of the IPCC is to provide governments at all levels with scientific information that they can use to develop climate policies. IPCC reports are also a key input into international climate change negotiations. The IPCC currently has 195 members. Thousands of people from all over the world contribute to the work of IPCC. For the assessment reports, expert volunteer their time as IPCC authors to assess the thousands of scientific papers published each year to provide a comprehensive summary of what is known about the drivers of climate change, its impacts and future risks, and how adaptation and mitigation can reduce those risks. An open and transparent review by experts and governments around the world is an essential part of the IPCC process to ensure an objective and complete assessment and to reflect a diverse range of views and expertise. Through its assessments, the IPCC identifies the strength of scientific agreement in different areas and indicates whether future research is needed. IPCC does not conduct its own research. So this is a body, United Nations body, which was formed by the collaboration of WMO and UNEP. However, this body does not do its own research. What they do is they do the analysis of the scientific studies across the world to give scientific agreement in different areas, which can help the countries and the governments of different countries with adaptation and mitigation regarding the climate change and in helping them form their policies. So the IPCC report released, the UN IPCC report which was released, Code Red was mentioned in the sense that greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel burning and deforestation are choking our planet and putting billions of people at immediate risk. So because of the greenhouse gas emissions that is happening currently in the world, because of the fossil fuel burning, the world is at immediate risk. The document of the IPCC report, that document shows that the emissions of ground greenhouse gases from human activities are responsible for approximately 1.1 degrees Celsius of warming between 1850 and 1900, and finds that averaged over the next 20 years, global temperature is expected to exceed 1.5 degree of heating. Global temperature is likely to rise 5 degrees Celsius in the next 20 years. So our answer is C. Global temperature likely to rise 5 degrees Celsius in next 20 years. Sorry, the question is wrong in that one. The question is, in UNPCC report, Code Red refers to the global temperature likely to rise in 5 degrees Celsius in next 20 years. Moving to question number 2. According to IEA, India stands at dash position in global carbon emissions CE, 3rd, 9th, 1st and 22nd. The IEA, so the full form of IEA is International Energy Agency. IEA is an agency which works with different governments and industry to shape a secure and sustainable energy future for all. The IEA is made up of 31 member countries, OECD countries. OECD is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So 31 member countries, basically the OECD countries, are a part of IEA. OECD is an organization for economic cooperation and development. It is a unique forum where the government of 37 democracies with market-based economies collaborate to develop policy standards to promote sustainable economic growth. So these OECD countries are a part of IEA, and it is an important part of global dialogue on energy, providing research, data statistics, analysis, and recommendations on the global energy sector. In addition, thanks to its successful Open door policy to emerging countries. IEA family also includes 13 association countries. 4 countries are currently seeking accession to full membership, which includes Chile, Colombia, Israel, and Latvia. The IEA works to ensure reliable, affordable, and clean energy for its member countries and beyond. IEA provides authoritative analysis, data, policy recommendations, and solutions to ensure energy security and help the world transition to clean energy. According to IEA, India is the third largest carbon emitter. 2018, India's carbon emission was 2,307.78 million tons, which is an increase of 335.33% from 1990. Although global carbon emission of India is comparatively way less than China and US. China giving it at 27% and US at 11%, but it still holds the third position at 7% carbon emissions coming from India. So, answer is third. So, according to IEA, International Energy Agency, India stands at third position at global carbon emissions. Question number 3. Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) set up in 2015 by UNGA are intended to be achieved by 2025, 2030, 2035, 2040. So, what are SDGs? SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals or Global Goals, are a collection of 17 interlinked objectives designed to serve as a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity of people and the planet now and into the future. The 17 Sustainability Development Goals are SDG 1, no poverty; SDG 2, zero health; SDG 3, good health and well-being; SDG 4, quality education; SDG 5, gender equality; SDG 6, clean water and sanitation; SDG 7, affordable and clean energy; SDG 8, decent work and economic growth; SDG 9, industry innovation and infrastructure; SDG 10, reduced inequalities; SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities; SDG 12, responsible consumption and production; SDG 13, climate action; SDG 14, life below water; SDG 14; SDG 15, life on land; SDG 16, peace, justice and strong institutions; and SDG 17, partnership for the goals. The SDGs emphasize the interconnected environmental, social, and economic aspects of sustainable development by putting sustainability at their center. On 25 September 2015, 193 countries of the UN General Assembly adopted the 2030 Development Agenda titled Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This agenda has 92 paragraphs. Paragraph 59 outlines the 17 development goals and the associated 169 targets and 232 indicators. Implementation of the SDGs started worldwide in 2016. In 2019, Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, issued a global call for a decade of action to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. So our answer is Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) set up in 2015 by UNGA are intended to be achieved by 2030. Courtyard House Ajmer and 72 Screens Jaipur are works of Shirish Beri, Rahul Mehrotra, Sanjay Puri, none of these. So we will quickly go through the few aspects or design and other details about courtyard house in 72 screens, and then we will answer this question. The courtyard house, the type of building it is a house. It's located in Ajmer, India. The architect was Sanjay Puri Architects. The area is 3000 square meter. It was built in 2011. It is located at the edge of a cement plant in Rajasthan, India. This house is designed to respond to a climate with long summer months of 45 degrees Celsius average temperature. Organically radiating concrete volumes of varied proportions from central open to sky courtyards create a sculpted series of spaces in this house. The layout is evocative in principle of traditional Indian courtyard houses that create a cooler environment within to battle the extreme heat of the climate. Each of the living spaces is oriented to capture the changing landscape on each side through deeply recessed openings that form transitory sheltered spaces between the inside and the outside while considerably reducing the heat gain to the internal spaces. So the context of this building is that it is located in Rajasthan, so it had to deal with really high temperatures during summers, especially of 45 degrees Celsius average temperature in summers. So the major planning aspect that Sanjay Puri borrowed from traditional Indian architecture was the use of courtyard in this building, and how having a courtyard creates a cooler environment within the premises of the house, and how it helps in battling the extreme heat of the climate. So this is the plan, and you can see he has given one big courtyard marked as A, and then a smaller courtyard on the that side of the house marked as E. And these courtyards also have water bodies which also helps in cooling the space. In addition, most rooms open into the sheltered garden spaces with privacy, which are created with grass and grass covered earth berms externally. So earth berm also is used in this house, which is also a passive cooling technique, which helps in cooling the space. Earth berming is basically a technique in which half of the structure or whole of the structure or some of the structure is uh, underground or covered with earth and burned around it. This translates the internal courtyard space as an external courtyard space in a sense, creating cool external spaces. While most of the extensive requirements of the clients are arranged around a large central courtyard, which is marked here A, all the main requirements of the client are arranged around central courtyard A. Additional guest rooms are located along a smaller courtyard, both being linked through an open corridor. Each of the bathrooms and dressing areas too open into small landscaped external courtyards. So all these places, all these required rooms are arranged around a central courtyard, and then on that side, on the left side, all the guest rooms are arranged around a central courtyard. While all these buildings also open to outside, which have you can say kind of an external courtyard, and these external courtyards are being created because some of the paths have bermed structures, and because of the slopes it creates a courtyard like feeling, and these buildings thus open to different gardens and green spaces outside, angled in different directions with volumetric variation. The house is built almost entirely in exposed concrete, creating a sculptural presence. So it's a trait, or it's a style of Sanjay Puri that he uses very angled surfaces to create his designs, whether in plan or whether in elevation. So if you can see these pictures, you can see how different kinds of angles have been used to create the spaces here, and in both elevation and plan. And the entire structure is built in exposed concrete, and because of the use of exposed concrete, just like Le Corbusier used the idea of using exposed concretes and different shapes and monumentality to indicate a sculptural style. Same principle Sanjay Puri has used over here. Each of the internal spaces have a unique identity with open, enclosed and semi-enclosed spaces. So each of the internal spaces have three different kinds of faces with them, attached with them: open, enclosed and semi-enclosed spaces, constantly changing in relation as one moves within the house or within each of its rooms. The planning ensures cross ventilation for every space within the house. This aspect, along with the creation of the large internal courtyard, along with the large internal courtyard, this aspect, along with the creation of the large internal courtyard gardens, the smaller external courtyard spaces and deep recessed windows, creates a house that is much cooler internally than the exterior, making it extremely energy efficient. Concrete was chosen for its accessibility from within the site, that is cement plant, as well as for its thermal properties. The building is iconic and sculptural in appearance, yet sensitive to its climate and adjoining surroundings. The internal courtyards and terraces are surrounded with large earth mounds, which give privacy to the user and constant shade to the internal spaces. This relatively large house, due to the client requirements, is designed in response to the desert climate of its location and is built sustainably with natural ventilation being facilitated throughout the house and minimized heat gain to increase its energy efficiency. Now, coming to 72 screens. 72 screens is a type of corporate office. It is located in Jaipur. The date of completion was in 2012. The area is 21,100 square feet. Architect Sanjay Puri Architects. Designed as a corporate office headquarters, the ground level houses a reception and conference rooms above, a car parking basement with office areas at the above 5 levels. The entire building has a screen envelope that serves to reduce heat gain in response to the climate of its location. Enveloped in abstractly folded planes of perforated screens, this six-level office building creates a sculptural presence. Again, the same idea of using angles and exposed concretes to create a more like a sculptural form. So Sanjay Puri is known for his style like that. So this is like the courtyard house. 72 screens also depicts itself like a sculptural building. Located in the city of Jaipur, again a project in Rajasthan, which has a desert climate with average temperatures ranging from 30 to 50 degrees Celsius through most of the year. The building is designed in response to the excessive heat, imbibing traditional elements. On a small plot of 1075 square meter, uh, the building envelope is restricted on all sides in plan and as well as governed by height restrictions. The resultant floor area on each level after leaving mandatory open spaces is only 326 square meter. So this is a section. So in the section you can see how different floors are there and how there is a screen of these concrete or GFRC jalis outside, creating just like creating an envelope outside the building. The entire service core and the toilets are located on the southern side, which effectively reduces the heat gain. So because it's first of all it's Rajasthan and it's located in India. So in India we have heat gain majorly from south and southwest, and because it's Rajasthan, this project is there, and also the courtyard house was also made in Rajasthan. These both places need architecture which is highly responsive to the harsh high temperature outside. So to do this, there are a lot of passive techniques, like in the last example we talked about. There are a lot of passive techniques which can be used, and one of those passive techniques is to minimize the penetration of sun rays from the south and southwest facade. So to do that, a lot of architects employed this thing that they used to locate all the services, which included your lifts, staircases, toilets, on the southern and southwest facades, which lets you have openings on all the other facades in the spaces where people would be actually sitting for long, rather than the spaces or services which they will use in less quantity. In addition, a glass reinforced concrete screen. So it's a GARC concrete screen, jali work, that takes its inspiration from the old traditional jali screens of the architectural heritage of the region, sheaths the building on all the sides, further reducing the heat gain and rendering the building very energy efficient. Designed as a corporate office headquarters, the ground level houses a reception and conference rooms above a car parking basement with office areas at the above 5 levels. The concrete screens around the building are supported by a steel framework with projections that vary from zero point 0.9 to 1.5 meter. This creates an external periphery space for plants at each level. If you can see the section, you can see how there is a difference between the screen, the jali screen, the GRC jali screen, and the uh, wall. And in that space, lots of plants have been put up, which creates which further helps in insulation from the external heats, and it helps in creating a cooler office space within. The office building thus overcomes the restrictions of its small plot, creating office spaces that are very, very energy efficient to combat the excessive summers of its location, while imbibing tradition in an abstract manifestation to create a sculptural quality for its inhabitants. So a few of the design features about these building, if you can see closely in this picture, you can see the pattern of the GRC jali that has been used. So primary focus of the design was to minimize the heat gain. The concept was to block the southern facade. Service core and toilet blocks were kept towards southern side for that very purpose. Peripheral columns, only peripheral columns have been provided in this building, which gives a complete flexible internal space for the office. Glass RC reinforced concrete jalis are placed in abstract geometric angles to filter the heat. Contemporary softwares have been used to study the solar path, leading to the sun penetration inside the building. Glass RC jali screen is like an envelope around the building, and the inspiration is from the traditional jalis of Rajasthan. It's an abstract folded plane mounted on steel framework. Design Contemporary computer technology has also been used for the design and assembly of this GRC jali. uh, and it is a very important climate responsive feature. So traditional architecture, specifically in traditional Indian architecture, specifically in Rajasthan, there is an extensive use of jali work. So taking an inspiration from that and then using contemporary software technology for the design and assembly of this thing, it's a very important climate responsive modern feature. Sheets all around the building reduces the heat gain, and it increases ventilation and makes the building energy efficient. External periphery space for plants at each level provides insulation, creating cooler office spaces. Screens create pleasing ambience when sun comes steaming through, and the and it creates kaleidoscopic sciographical patterns in interior spaces. Because these jali patterns, this GRC jali, it has different patterns inside it, and it is also located in different angles. So when the sun actually comes, then the interior spaces actually have a sciography or the shadow from these jali, which is like a kaleidoscopic sciographical patterns. And the trapezoidal planar geometry continues internal interiors as well, on ceiling, receptionist counters, and furniture layout of ground floor lobby. So the answer is Sanjay Puri. Both Courtyard House Ajmer and 72 Screens Jaipur are works of Sanjay Puri, and these both are really great examples of uh, climate responsive architecture, which also somewhere respects the traditional Indian architecture, but in a very modern form. Question number 5. Excuse me. Ecological architecture refers to eco-friendly, passive means for energy efficiency, efficient use of water, all of these. Ecological architecture. So, what is ecological architecture? Ecological architecture is a concept that combines environmental science and architectural science. Ecological architecture has a primary orientation on development model that focuses on the harmonious balance of the natural environment and the artificial environment. So few of the features of ecological architecture is eco-friendly energy efficiency, photovoltaic panels for energy generation, efficient use of water, passive means for energy efficiency. So, one of the ecological approach in architecture given by Frick in 1998 is that ecological architecture includes harmony between nature and humans. Eco-architecture also contains dimensions of time, nature, socio-cultural, space, and building technologies. Eco-architecture is complex, containing parts of biological architecture, humanity and health, as well as development biology. Therefore, eco-architecture is holistic and contains all the fields. Similarly, ecological design creates green buildings, and according to Brenda and Robert Weil in 1996, these are the following principles that should be a part of ecological architecture. One is energy saving, which means operationally running a building with minimal use of energy sources that are already very rare or take a long time to be produced again. Utilizing conditions and natural energy sources. Through the approach of green architecture and bioclimatic design, buildings adjust and adapt to the climate, environment, and surrounding circumstances, whether it be via planning, via architecture and construction, or via operation. Respond to site conditions on building. Planning refers to the interaction between a building and a site. It is meant for the existence of buildings both in terms of construction, shape, and operation of buildings and does not damage the surrounding environment. So, if the building were not to be used, the original site is still there and has not changed much. Pay attention to the building users. In designing a building, we must pay attention to all the building users and meet the needs, health, and comfort of the building users. Minimize new resources. A building should be designed by optimizing existing materials which are not harmful to the ecosystem by minimizing the use of new materials where at the end of the building life it can be reused to form another architectural order. Holistic. A building must be thought of as the system of the universe, whether physical, chemical, biological, social, economic, mental, psychic, and language, and all its completeness should be viewed as a whole and not a unity of separate parts. Lastly, another set of principles of ecological architecture given by Heinz Frick includes adaptation to the natural local environment, saving non-renewable natural energy sources and save energy use, protecting environmental resources, our air, soil and water, maintaining and improving natural circulation, reducing dependence on central energy systems, electricity, water and wastewater and garbage, possibility of residents to produce their own daily needs, uh, utilizing natural resources around the planning area for building systems, both related to building materials and for building utilities, energy sources, and water supply. So, our answer is that ecological architecture, or eco architecture, it refers to eco friendliness, it refers to the passive means for energy efficiency, it also refers to the efficient use of water. So, the answer would be all of these. Question number 6. Suzlon One Earth, Pune by Christopher Benninger is an example of ecological architecture, traditional hill architecture, Indo-Saracenic architecture, and Art Deco. Suzlon One Earth, the type is institutional building. Uh, the location is in Pune, India. The architects are Christopher Charles Benninger designs. Year was 2000. Year it was built in 2009. The green building consultants for this project were Environmental Design Solution (EDS), Tanmay Tathagat, and Kavita Jain. Suzlon Energy Limited, a world-leading wind energy company based in Pune, India, together with the architect, pledged to create the greenest office in India. Benninger calls the Tanti family true patrons of architecture, comparable to the Sarabhais, the Guggenheims, and the Rockefellers. Living the motto of the company, powering a greener tomorrow, the architect relied exclusively on toxic and recycled materials. The building achieved a LEED Platinum and Terry Griha 5-star certification with 8% of its annual energy generated on site through photovoltaic panels and windmills with a total incremental cost of about 11%. There are no other LEED certified buildings with this level of certification and on site renewable energy that have achieved this kind of cost efficiency. With 92% 4 megawatt being consumed by the project, is sustainable energy, making this a zero energy project. It has become the need of the hour for global corporations to have sensitively designed buildings which reflect their values, concerns for environment, and the image of the new age. It calls for designing buildings in India with sensitivity towards climate that is both energy efficient and draws vernacular solutions. Suzlon One Earth derives its inspiration from Indian historical campuses like Fatehpur Sikri and Meenakshi Temple Complex in Madurai. This took the shape of a landscraper, opposing the idea of a skyscraper. It is a counterblast to the glass box. A series of served and server spaces were created to adapt to the transformational nature of the business over the years. The served spaces covered the lion's share of the campus where people work that can accommodate modular walls and furniture systems. Aluminum louvers have been used in the building, which act as a protective skin, allowing daylight and cross ventilation. Use of non-toxic and recycled materials has been done in the project. On-site energy generation through photovoltaic panels and windmills has been done. The design process started with a premise of creating a central gathering space, a Brahmasthan, with the sky as its ceiling. This is a visual access to the large central gardens from everywhere. There is a sense of connection between the various kinds of spaces, right from the underground entries, we did the sunlight that descends there from the sky core and the glass cylinders and the vegetation that flows from these elements up through the cylinders into the main circulation nodes of the buildings. The Deepa stump is set in the center of the Suzlon reflecting pool. The pool rests at the basement level, wherein all of the cafeteria and the dining room open onto the water. In the background, these see a cascade of waterfalls flying down 3 levels of tiers with traditional step-like objects giving them rhythm to the backdrop. Large water body in the central court helps in improving the air quality and or evaporative cooling. So Suzlon One Earth, as we have read about the project a little over here, so it's definitely not located on hill, it's located in Pune, so it can't be hill architecture, and it's not a pre-independence building, so it is not Saracenic architecture and also not Art Deco architecture. It is an example of ecological architecture given the fact that they have used various passive techniques, the way they have designed the use of courtyards, the use of water for cooling, the use of aluminium panels for diffused sunlight, and also the energy generation on the site itself. Uh, yeah, so this is an example of ecological architecture. Question number 7. Fatehpur Sikri and Meenakshi Temple complex in Madurai served as a likely design inspiration for this building complex. JMC House, Ahmedabad, Suzlon 1 Earth, Pune, 72 Screens, Jaipur, Vallabh Bhavan, Secretariat, Bhopal. So, because we have just seen the example in detail of Suzlon 1 Earth, Pune, and I mentioned in the slide before itself that the campus has taken inspiration from Fatehpur Sikri and Meenakshi Temple. So our answer is B, Suzlon, One Earth, Pune. So this first picture is of Suzlon 1 and the other two pictures are of Fatehpur Sikri and Meenakshi Temple. So the inspiration has been in the form that the use of central courtyards and other courtyards with water elements right next to the buildings, which helps in cooling the place. So our answer is B, Suzlon, One Earth, Pune. Question number 8. Hussain Doshi Gufa, Ahmedabadni Gufa, Ahmedabad is a bold example of architecture as art form, Indo-Saracenic architecture, climate responsive architecture, vernacular architecture of Gujarat. Hussain Doshi Gufa or Ahmedabadni Gufa. This the type is, it's a art gallery. It's located in Ahmedabad. The architect was B.V. Doshi. It was built in year 2009. Ahmedabadni Gufa is an underground art gallery in Ahmedabad, India, designed by the architect Balkrishna Vithaldas Doshi. It exhibits work of the Indian artist Maqbool Fida Hussain, or M.F. Hussain as commonly known. The gallery represents a unique juxtaposition of architecture and art. The cave-like underground structure has a roof made of multiple interconnected domes covered with a mosaic of tiles. On the inside, irregular tree-like columns support the domes. It was earlier known as Hussain Doshi Gufa and it was later renamed as Ahmedabadni Gufa. There are facilities for special painting exhibitions and also for projecting films. Gardens and a cafe are located above the ground. This building presents as a fuzzy border between building and fine arts, which is basically art and architecture. And the building has display of artworks of Hussain, and the building itself is a display because if you can see this image, you can see the bright colors over here. M.F. Hussain has painted on the internal walls of this cave-like structure also, so it itself is a display, and then M.F. Hussain's work is also displayed in the gufa. The structure's contemporary architecture draws on ancient and natural themes. The domes are inspired by the shells of tortoises and by soap bubbles. The mosaic tiles on the roof are similar to those found on the roofs of Jain temple at Girnar, and the mosaic snake is from Hindu mythology. The Buddhist caves of Ajanta and Ellora inspired Doshi to design the interior with circles and ellipses, while Hussain's wall paintings are inspired by Paleolithic cave art. The interior is divided by tree trunks or columns similar to those found at Stonehenge. The gallery space is below ground level. A partial hidden staircase leads to the circular door which opens into the cave-like space. Though designed to display paintings, the cave has no straight walls. Instead, it uses a combination or continuation of the curved dome structure which extends down to the floor. The domes themselves are supported by irregularly shaped inclined columns similar to those found in natural caves. They are also said to resemble the trunk of trees. The entire design is made up of circle and ellipses, and the light arrives through snouts, creating spots of light on the floor which move around as the day progresses, intended to create a mystic atmosphere. Uh, just like um, Charles Korea did this in Bharat Bhavan because that's also a subterranean structure. It's half underground. This is fully underground. So when you are creating a structure fully underground, you have to give some kind of snoots or some kind of opening to let the light in. So this is what Vividoshi has also done in Ahmedabadni Gufa. Okay, so sorry, I just saw your message. So can you see the slides now, Prasida? Or the slides have not been changing at all for you? Is it happening for everyone? Can everyone else not see the slides either? Okay. Okay. So, Prasida, if you would like me to repeat any of the question, you can tell me. I will specifically repeat that question. Okay, sure. So the entire design is made of circles and ellipses, and the light arrives through the snouts, just like Charles Korea used it in Bharat Bhavan. The structure was designed with the help of computer-assisted planning facilities to resolve the structure's unorthodox design because there are no straight columns and then these columns have a very organic shape, and to provide this cave-like structure, computer-assisted softwares were used to create this design. A simple floor of wire mesh and mortar was used instead of a traditional foundation. All the structure's components are self-supporting, relieving stress by their obliquitous continuity. Ferro cement, only 1 inch thick, was used for the undulating walls and domes in order to reduce load. The cave was constructed by unskilled tribal laborers using only hand tools. Broken ceramic crockery and waste tiles were used to cover the dome's exteriors, which bears a transversal mosaic of a snake. Work was carried out in two phases. The first was the construction of the main cave as an underground art gallery, while the second covered the surrounding structures, including the paving, the cafe, a separate art gallery for exhibitions. Hussain used the gallery's walls as a canvas, painting on them with bold strokes and bright colors. The artwork depicts human figures and motifs of animals, including his famous horse figures. He also decorated features such as doors and even air conditioners. The figures were designed to resemble ancient cave paintings in a modern environment. Hussain also placed a few metal sculptures of human figures between the inclining columns. So our answer is architecture as art form. So Hussain Doshi Gufa or Ahmedabadi Gufa, it is an example of architecture and art blending together, an architecture as art form. Moving to question number 9, because of excuse me, because of community mandate, this project of Sameep Padora did not harm a single tree on site. Buddhist Center Sakarwadi, if I don't know how to exactly pronounce this city's name, Atam Hostel and House Kolkata, Maya Somaya Library Kopargaon, Lattice House Jammu. So the answer is actually A, Buddhist Center Sakarwadi. So I would quickly describe about this project to give a glimpse of the ideas and the design ideas and the features of this project that Samik Padora has tried to incorporate in this building. So what's the type? It's a monastery. It is located in Sakarwadi or Sakarwadi, and I don't know how to actually pronounce the name. Maharashtra. The architect is Samir Padora and Associates. Year it was done in year 2016, and the manufacturers for this project were Ozari Joinery. In Buddhist mythology, Jetwana is the name of one of the Buddha's most important spatial edifice, which when literally translated means the grove of Jeta, land donated to the Sangh for founding a monastery. It was of semiotic significance that this site offered by Samir Sumaya, owner of the neighboring sugar factory in rural Maharashtra, for the Buddhist Learning Center was thickly forested. The institute was programmed as a spiritual and skill development center for the native Dalit Bodh Ambedkar Buddhist community. The mandate of Jetavana is to provide a spiritual anchor for their practice of Buddhist thought through meditation and yoga, while also imparting training and skill development for members of the community. So it's a monastery designed specifically for the native tribal people, native, not tribal, native Dalit Bodh Ambedkar Buddhist community of that place. And in this place also meditation and yoga is used, and the training and skill development for members of the community is done. So in this project there was a mandate of not harming a single tree on site, and because of which uh, um, the build-up was divided into 6 buildings, each situated in gaps between the heavy planting. So, in order to not cut down any of the trees, instead of designing a whole building structure, 6 different buildings, each situated in different gaps, were designed. And through the design process, 2 courtyards emerged as links, suturing these buildings into a common identity. Further, by inverting the roof profile with the central valley in the middle and rising edges, the interior spaces were visually connected with the foliage outside. So if you can see in these images, you can see how the roof gives, and the angles on which the roof is being supported here, how that is visually connecting the people of the community to the foliage outside. Interior spaces are also a function of the outside setting, with the lightness that belies the heavy programs on site. The separation of the roof from the walls, while providing much needed cross ventilation, also scales the building towards the courtyard. So this design also helps in providing cross ventilation into the building with the and that also helps in cooling this place because of the cross ventilation via the courtyard. Working closely with Hunarshala, which is an institution looking into reviving and resuscitating local building traditions, they collated a material palette that uses rammed load-bearing walls of basalt stone dust. The stone dust, which is waste from a nearby quarry, is mixed with waste fly ash, a byproduct from the adjoining factory that in the past was paying people to cart the waste fly ash away. So, very innovative thing that they have done in this project is that they have had 2 kinds of waste, the stone dust and the waste of fly ash by an adjoining factory, and they mixed both of those things to create a load bearing wall of basalt stone dust. Repurposed wood from old shipping vessels act as a roof structure with the understructure made of mud rolls, which are also great in insulation. The roof itself is finished with clay roof tiles, remnants from old demolished buildings. The flooring is a traditional mud and dung floor done by members of the local community, which is known to have antiseptic properties. Approach to the Jetavan project looks to extend the idea of the regional paradigm while separating it from the pervasive image of what defines the local. The construction process also sets out an approach that looks to further construction techniques based on local materiality, not necessarily used natively but is appropriate for its context. So our answer is that because of the community mandate, because the community did not, it was the mandate from the community that they did not want to cut any of the trees, This project by Sameep Badora did not harm a single tree on site. Buddhist Center Sakarwandi or the Jetawan Buddhist Center Sakarwandi. Jetawan Spiritual Center or the Buddhist Center Sakarwadi, Maharashtra. Going to the last question for today. In this project, entire construction of compound wall, roads and pathways was done using stones obtained from the site itself. Studios 90 Residential Building Kurla, Suzlon One Earth Pune, Laboratory of the Conservation of Endangered Species Hyderabad, the Rajasthan School RAS. So our answer is actually C, Laboratory of the Conservation of Endangered Species. So I would quickly describe about the project. So Laboratory for the Conservation of Endangered Species Hyderabad. What is the type? It's educational institute and it also has labs. It's located in Hyderabad. The architect was Shirish Beri. He is a graduate from CEPT. It was built in year 2005. Built up area is 4200 square meter and the site was 4 acres. And just like the project that we just talked about, the Buddhist center in Sakarwadi, similarly, they did not cut any trees in that project. While in this project, Shirish Peri, because these boulders, these rocks were existing on the sites, these huge boulders, he did not remove any of those things. He did not move any of those things. He did not harm any of those things. And this, because the idea of not harming it, gave his design its unique shape, because of which this curvilinear shapes emerged. And that's how he preserved the site and made really less modifications in the site with respect to the nature. Laboratory for the Conservation of Endangered Species. It is a council of scientific and industrial research lab located in Hyderabad. It is conceptualized by Lalji Singh, who is a scientist. It is India's only research facility engaged in conservation and preservation of wildlife and its resources. It was established in 1998 with the help of Central Zoo Authority of India, CSIR. So it was established in 1998, but this building was built in 2005. And when this building was built, then this building was dedicated to the nation in 2007 by our then President APJ Abdul Kalam. Indian architect Shirish Beri designed the LACONS or the Laboratory for the Conservation of Endangered Species in Hyderabad in central India. His compositional invention is a result of the observation of the site, which is dominated by a group of big rocks. The theme of dialogue between the construction and its natural site is interwoven with the theme of sustainability. The form of the project is a direct layout of the area containing a series of vertical rocks, great enigmatic beauty. The client naturally wanted a building worthy of the Institute's noble purpose of studying and protecting species in danger of extinction. Shirish Beri works on the basis of the conviction that architecture must fit into the landscape with the utmost respect. In Hyderabad, this meant keeping the site intact while adding a construction that would underline the topography of the site with the superb rock at its center. At the same time, it was essential to build a construction with low emissions, a goal achieved through a series of measures for recovering and conserving energy. The high rocks form a circle around the edges of the lot, which the client had purchased to build the research laboratory. After visiting the site, the architect suggested that the client also buy the adjacent lot to permit the construction of a building with the layout he had in mind, a complex arranged around the rocks which would form its center. Shirish Peri considers the work of a man a product of the work of nature. And so the rocks become a portal providing access to the building's entrance. Underlying the topography of the site, there are a set of natural amphitheater which slopes down to the entrance door, where a stone floor forms an open space in which to stop, sit down, and enjoy the spectacle of nature. The amphitheater is embraced all around by the volume of the building itself. If you can see this section, you can see what he's talking about. The amphitheater is embraced all around by the volume of the building itself, which is semicircular in shape, and the spaces that follow its course. Its irregular composition with curved walls and an asymmetrical course following the site's natural shape is achieved through a concrete structure combined with walls and cladding made of brick and local stone taken directly from the soil below it. The glass that underlies the curved wall with its uninterrupted surface allows the dialogue with the landscape to continue inside the building. The complexest technical installations include a wastewater treatment system, a collection of rainwater for irrigation. The local microclimate does not require major use of resources for air conditioning as the project makes use of natural ventilation. A few of the features of this project is that Shirish Bedi has used Fibonacci spiral in the planning of the buildings here. Space with huge rocks, arrival plaza, like I just mentioned, and you can see it in the section, with organically designed structural glazing forming background. And he has used glazing in the background so that the built form, so that the natural stones and these other things are also reflected in it, and it does not look like an obstruction in the site, but rather because of this reflection it becomes a part of the site. To create facade by avoiding typical visual image of a man-made building. Exactly. Beautiful clusters of large rocks and boulders, immense design potential, reflection of rocks, sky, and landscaping in the glazing or the non-facade. So the idea was to not have a facade that represented, that gave a visual image of a man-made building. So he created this entire structural glazing for it, and because of this structural glazing, because it's a glazing, it's glass, there is reflection of rocks in it, the landscaping and the sky, and it makes it a part of the site rather than making it look like a completely different thing put in a place. And the entire construction of compound wall, roads, etc. was done using stones obtained from the site. So our answer is that in the project, entire construction of compound walls, roads and pathways was done using stones obtained from the site. The answer is Laboratory for the Conservation of Endangered Species, or Lacones, Hyderabad. So these were last year's question. If anybody has any doubts, they can please ask me. I will try to answer it as per my capacity and knowledge. Uh, yeah, and because this is the last session, so I cannot even say that in case I fail to answer your questions, I would do it in the next class. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, please do ask away. Yeah, all questions will be multiple choice only. This is the format of the questions. That's why these assignments are like that. So as there have been no questions, I will end the meeting now. Thank you everyone who has joined in all the 8 sessions with me, and all the best to everyone who will be giving the exam.